So, you call yourself a Star Wars fan? You've seen the sequels, you've bought the plastic toys, and you've memorized the memes. But the Force is an ancient mystery, not a playground for tourists, those who think a lightsaber is just a glow stick. If that's you, well, you may have to wait outside. We don't serve droids here. But if you can prove you understand the grit it took to build this galaxy, you'll earn the title of Steward of the Kessel Run. To do so, you'll have to pass through my 5 gates. And there is a final gate, one you will find particularly challenging, where we settle the famous Greedo debate once and for all. Let's just say, if you think McClunky was always part of the plan, I've got a bad feeling about this. For the rest of us, the gate is open. It's time to jump to light speed. Try to keep up. Gate 1. The voice in the machine. We'll start with a trial of presence. Darth Vader. In 1976, English bodybuilder and sometime actor David Prowse became the man in the suit. He delivered his lines with a rustic British lilt, so much so that the crew mockingly called him Darth Farmer. It was a sonic mismatch that threatened the entire impact of the Empire. George Lucas knew he needed some vocal authority. But here's the interesting part. The actor he hired thought his voiceover was merely a special effect. Out of respect for the actor in the suit, this man refused to be credited in the original 1977 release. He went on to be an EGOT winner. The Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony Award all grace his mantle. Name the man whose voice became the most valuable intellectual property in cinematic history. We're starting out easy, aren't we? The answer is James Earl Jones. Prowse provided the movement, Jones provided the command. Perhaps you knew the name, but did you know he insisted on going uncredited? Let's move on to a greater challenge, shall we? Gate 2, the mechanical revolution. To build a galaxy, you need more than a script. You need the machinery to move through it. In 1975, Hollywood's special effects industry was a graveyard of old techniques. To achieve the high-speed dogfights of the trench run, George Lucas didn't just hire artists, he hired engineers. This team invented a revolutionary computer-controlled camera system that allowed for precise, repeatable movements around stationary models. It gave these epic battles a sense of weight and velocity never before seen on film. Can you name this pioneering motion control camera system named after the wizard-like engineer who led its development? The man's name was John Dykstra, and the camera was called the Dykstraflex. This computerized camera system revolutionized the visual language of film and won an Academy Award for special effects. This also birthed the legend of the special effects studio named Industrial Light and Magic. If you thought it was all just movie magic and green screens, you need to pay more attention to the blueprints. Gate 3, the Sonic Foundation. We go back to the beginning, not to the screen, but to the ear. In 1977, the sound of science fiction was electronic bleeps, bloops, and synthesizer hums. But George Lucas wanted the weight of history. He wanted a space opera. So, before John Williams' legendary score was finalized, the film used a temp track, masterpieces of classical music that set the mood of the film.
One specific 1914 orchestral suite by English composer Gustav Holst provided the DNA for the aggression of the Imperial March. Can you name the suite? A true Star Wars fan knows the multi-movement composition called The Planets. Specifically, they used the music from Mars, the Bringer of War. Consider that John Williams didn't just write some catchy tunes, he resurrected the entire late Romantic symphonic tradition. He used the Wagnerian idea of the leitmotif to portray characters and emotions, and even the Force. John Williams' outstanding score took home the Oscar. Williams didn't just win for Star Wars, he actually upstaged himself by beating his own score for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yes, he was nominated twice that year, winning for Star Wars. His score gave the whole Star Wars saga the heft of an opera. I'm sure you can hear that this was more than just movie music. Gate 4, the identity of the industrial. Let's talk about the protagonist. Before he was the farm boy we know today, he was a different kind of hero. In the early drafts, the ones that sat on Lucas's desk while he fought with 20th Century Fox, the name Skywalker didn't exist. So tell me, what was the original, far more aggressive and industrial surname for our hero, Luke? The answer is Starkiller. Yes, originally this was Luke Starkiller. It was a name that carried the edge of a warrior, not a dreamer. Lucas eventually pivoted, realizing that a Starkiller didn't fit his vision of the Jedi. A Starkiller sounds like a mercenary, but a Skywalker sounds like a philosopher. In the end, George Lucas opted to evoke the infinite potential of the horizon. Did you qualify for the next sector, or are you still stuck in the first draft? Gate 5, the crisis in the cutting room. 1977, a private screening room. George Lucas shows a rough cut of Star Wars to his friends and executives like Steven Spielberg, Brian De Palma, and the suits at Fox. To be honest, it was a visual disaster. The pacing was too slow, the dramatic stakes were non-existent. Most in the room thought the movie was dead on arrival. The film was saved, however, not by director George Lucas, but by an editor. This editor took the disjointed footage of the trench run and restructured it into the heart-pounding climax we see today. Can you name this Academy Award-winning editor? That talented editor was Marcia Lucas, who happened to be George Lucas's wife at the time. While George built the world, Marcia built the tension. But her brilliance wasn't limited to a galaxy far away. Before she won her Oscar for Star Wars, she was already the secret weapon of the 1970s New Hollywood elite. It was her hand that cut the gritty streets of Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver and the nostalgic nights of American Graffiti. She was the one who knew when to linger on a character's face and when to cut to the chase. She even worked on Return of the Jedi, called in to handle the emotional core, the scenes where we finally say goodbye to Yoda and Vader. She retired shortly after that, leaving behind a legacy of 3 Academy Award nominations and 1 win. And by the way, while George eventually received an honorary Lifetime Achievement Award in 1992, he still lacks the one thing Marcia secured in 1977, a competitive Oscar win for the film that changed everything. You've made it this far, or maybe you're still scrambling for the wiki, but the final gate stands before you, one final test. Consider the icons: Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, R2-D2. Legends, certainly, but a gatekeeper looks for more than just a highlight reel, especially in that iconic scoundrel, Han Solo. In 1977, Han Solo shot first. The evidence is right there in the shooting script. It was definitive proof of his brand of rogue archetype. But in 1997, and again in 2011, and finally with the 2019 McClunky edit, George Lucas decided to rewrite that moment. Now, tell me, does a creator have the absolute right to revise their own masterpiece after it has entered the collective soul of a generation? Was George Lucas right to sanitize the scoundrel, or is the special edition a sacrilege against the original classic? I truly would like to know your verdict in the comments. I'll be watching, I'll be reading, I'll be seeing who truly carries the binary suns in their blood and who is just a tourist in the maker's workshop. I might even deign to reply. I am the Gatekeeper. Subscribe, step up, and prove your fandom.